it's apparent that it's Indonesia's potential for growth that brings regional players such as AirAsia to focus its business more in this country. As the world's 12th largest aviation market, over 240 million people and hundreds of destinations, Indonesia enjoys an average of 10% passenger growth each year as more and more people take to the sky when traveling. So what are the activities you're doing here other than buying?
Well, these guys are working on planes.
So what does that mean? Does that mean that you're going to have new routes, new connections?
Well, it means we've been very focused on international up to this point in Indonesia. We're market leaders here. We're 40% of the international tourists that come in here are out of AirAsia. But we want to play in the local playground.
Mm-hmm. Especially the low-cost carrier airlines are very competitive, very cutthroat.
Yeah, I mean, it
doesn't daunt you because there's so many players.
Not at all. I mean, I've been born with competition. I started an airline with 2 planes against Malaysian Airlines that had 105. So competition doesn't daunt me. But Indonesia is the size of Europe. You may think there's a lot of airlines, but in comparison to Europe and America, there's not many airplanes. And if you look at Indonesia, when you think of tourism, people just think of Bali. But there's a whole huge tourism potential here. Look at what we've done in Bandung.
Yes, I mean, it's grown tremendously.
No one flew to Bandung until AirAsia. Now a lot of people fly. So we can replicate Bandung across Indonesia. We can create new routes, both international and domestic. And as Indonesia's GDP rises, more people are going to fly. The percentage of people flying is still very low. So I'm very bullish, provided we can give a product that people want and make it affordable.
It's profitable for you so far, and do you see that, you know, as you are expanding and you coming and relocating in Indonesia, I mean, what kind of adjustments would you need to make?
Well, I think strategy is really domestic, as I mentioned. We've got to be bigger. We're mosquito right now. We've got to be a big bee.
If you're malaria, that's quite deadly.
Well, hopefully to some we may be deadly. So we'll have to wait and see. But no, we've got to be a big player, and we want to be a big player. We're doubling our fleet acquisition into Indonesia. We're going from 5 to 12 planes. So, you know, we should be the size of Lion Air within 3 or 4 years, which is our target. And as I said, I'm not here into taking anyone's market share. I just think the market's going to grow. It's interesting, at the ASEAN Business Club yesterday, there was a presentation by McKinsey, and it's exactly as I predicted, you know, but I didn't need to pay McKinsey to tell me that. Everyone focuses on Jakarta, but the secondary cities are growing much, much faster. Jakarta's growing great, but, you know, the Balikpapans, the Padangs, the Pekanbarus, all of these, the Samarangs, have huge percentage of GDP growth year on year, and that's where we see a lot of where we're going to come. And so there's a lot more that we're discovering now. Today on Twitter, someone sent me a tweet and said, can you focus on Lombok? And straight away the team's working on it, and we're starting KL Lombok, and we're going to do Jakarta Lombok. So information flow is coming to us, and we're learning, and we're just discovering new things we never thought were there. So very bullish.
Indonesia is now 5th of the world's emerging economies after Brazil, India, China and Russia. Moreover, Indonesia's credit rating is now investment level due to her sound macroeconomic condition and a stable government, which makes the country attractive to foreign investors that see the country's potential for growth, including in the airline business, an industry that will enjoy an open sky policy in 2015. I see that this is a huge opportunity for someone like Tony, who dreams big for his company. Of course, 2015, the open sky policy. Is that also part of the reason why you've decided
Absolutely. And just before you came, we had an ASEAN presentation, and our team had gone to see the ASEAN Secretary General, which is not far from here. It's another reason that we're here, to discuss what we would like and how we see it and how we believe in open skies. We would like one regulatory authority, like in Europe, as opposed to 10 different regulatory authorities.
It's much more efficient.
Much more efficient, correct. One air traffic control system, one ASEAN air traffic control system, a more efficient way of charging for flying within each other. And then the last part is, we hope governments allow private money to go into airports, because infrastructure is going to be something that may hold us back.
Yes, that's one of the main problems here in Indonesia, I think, because we have more and more airlines with more and more planes, and yet the airports are a little bit, cramped and everything.
I think the government's trying, in that it's, Soekarno-Hatta is growing, Bali, Surabaya is all expanding. But I think, Jakarta is like the size of Malaysia, and it has one airport in reality. If you look at London, it has 4 airports. If you look at New York...
Yes, so how do you feel about that? Isn't that frustrating sometimes?
Well, it is, but I mean, I think the private money that's going into airline business has grown quicker than the infrastructure. But I'm not afraid. If you look at, and that's why I say, when I meet Indonesian entrepreneurs, I think, boy, if some of that capital could be unleashed into the airport industry, wow. And you meet so many of the property developers, you think, what if they could be involved in developing airports in the same way private money has gone into roads and rail, etc. Because governments can't do everything.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think that governments, rather than facilitating, often they, make things difficult for you. Now, you've sort of relocated in a big way. I mean, I see that your office is enormous, and it's, you've brought some of your people.
Yes.
To Jakarta from KL.
Yeah.
I mean, how has that been? Has it been easy for you to get things going?
Well, I had to... people in ASEAN don't like to move. In fact, someone from Compass asked me, do you think you're the first ASEAN CEO to locate here? Do you think it's wise? I said, yeah, I think I am the first. I haven't met anyone else. But, I was the first guy to go from music to airlines, and people asked me the same question. We were the first people into Bandung, and people laughed at us. So you make a step forward. So I was telling my guys here, you are pioneers. I can pay you more money, which I did. I think that helps. And but in years to come, you can sit back and say, well, we led the start of a revolution, and I believe there'll be many more regional offices set up here, as opposed to traditional places of Singapore.
Okay, so you're quite excited about being in Jakarta, being in Indonesia?
I am very much, and this is not just done for the Desi Anwar show because your audience is all Indonesian, or predominantly Indonesian. It's because, I'm excited because you can't get a feel of the pulse unless you're here. Whether you're watching TV or whether you go and watch a football match, it's so different from just coming in for a few hours and buggering off.
Okay, well, I want to take a closer look around your office.
Yeah, sure.